columns is where all the structure in your web page happens. Let's bring in a new blank block, start building your page, and then create your own. And we've worked with a block in the previous videos. You kind of understand how this works. To bring in a column, we need to bring it from the elements drawer. And there are two ways that you can do this. Simply click here on the plus in the middle, and when you do so, you will see that this drawer will open. Let's have a look here. It says at the top, add elements, and as I scroll through it, you will see a number of elements, as we call them, appear, as well as these with the little red dots. And what are they? They are the pro versions, which we cannot use in Brizy Free. But don't cry, don't fret, we're not going to need them. We want to look at these two that are strictly an element, but we're going to call them grid containers, or in this case, just a column. And to work with a column and create columns within your block, you have to click, hold, and drag it. And then here, where this empty space is, you drop it. So click, hold, drag, and drop. Click outside, and now you see we have two pluses. And as I hover over them, we now have two columns within this block. And that's how you're going to be building out these structures on your web page. Start with your block, and then if you need columns, you bring in columns. First things first, these two columns are clearly equal width. So they are set to 50% on the left and 50% on the right for the container that they are filling. And you can change that by going to the middle here where you see that little thick handle, and click, hold, and drag it either to the left and to the right. And you can see as I do that, I change the width of these columns adjacent to each other. And we also have that little UI, that display there at the top, that tells us to which ratio we are changing them. Currently, the one on the left is 39.4%, and the one on the right is 60.6%. So let's say you want to have it 40-60, then you drag it and then carefully drag it and drag it a little bit back and try and get there to 40. And I missed it, and I'm going to, again, the reason I'm doing this, there I go, let go, and now I've got 40-60. The old days, that's how we created this kind of layout structures. You had to grab the handle here and you had to drag it to the precise value you wanted it. But that can be tricky. You saw that it can take a lot of work. So there's an easier way how we can do it now, and that is by accessing the options toolbar for the column. Now remember, the block, we go here, the block, not the blog, the block, we go here and it's up there. And then for the columns, hover over it until you see the blue bounding box. And then you see this little up arrow here with the little circle. Click on this and that opens another toolbar, but you will see it looks a little bit different, but in some cases the same. Go to the settings here, and now you will see the width slider appears here. And currently it's at 60.3. So if I want to have it at 60, I can just double click on it to select it, type in 60. And then I can go to this one, select the options toolbar option, settings, and then under width, it has already adjusted to align with the 60%. That's how you can get that pixel perfect. You are not confined to only two columns. Let's bring in another column. And to do that, go to either of these two. Let's go to this one, click on the options, and then here you will see the plus to add another column. Click, and you get 3 columns now. Remember though, we put that at 40-60, the 2. The moment I bring in another column, Brizy will automatically resize them all to the same aspect ratio. So if I go to the handlebar now and I start dragging, you should see it at 33.3%, and the same on this side. 33.3%. And if you make a mistake and you cannot get there on the 33.3% again in the future, remember, you go up here, settings, and then you type in 33.3, which I somehow got in my last effort. Let's change it. Let's make it like 20, 40, 40. So I can go here, settings, double click 20, or you can drag the slider. And then this one, I will go to 40. And then once this one is 40, this one should also be 40. Excellent. That's how you bring in more columns. To delete the columns, very similar to how we deleted the block. For the block, we went up here to the settings and selected the trash can. Same for the columns. Let's click here. And then you see again, you can delete it. But alternatively, hover with your cursor over the column, right click, and then from the context toolbar that pops up, you can just select delete. Now I have only one column left, and that's a little bit strange, you may say, but I often use one columns, and I'll show you in upcoming tutorials why I like always to work within a column. Now I only have one column left. Let's delete this one as well and click delete. And now we just have an empty block again. Let's bring in the columns again. Previously, I clicked here on this plus. You can also go here to the sidebar on the left, and then you see the same plus appears here. Click on that and it opens the elements drawer again. We scroll down and then select the column, click, hold, drag it, and drop it. Let's add another column. Go to the settings, click on the plus, and let's add one more. Click on the plus, let's add one more, and another one, and now what happened? I don't see the plus anymore. And the reason for that is that within Brizy Cloud and the current version of the builder, you can only have 6 columns. Nothing more. There are ways to work around it, but you have to take cognizant of the fact that you're only limited to 6 columns. You usually don't need more, but in some rare cases where you want to have many logos, you may want to have like 10 or so. Delete one of them. Let's delete one. Right click, delete. Let's delete one more. Right click, delete. Let's see what else we have here in terms for the options for the column. Select this one. We have duplicate again. And then over here on the left, we have colors, similar to what we had with the block. Click on the colors and let's choose one of these swatches. Let's go to the next one and change that color as well. Next one, color. And then let's make this one a little gray. Now you can clearly see the 4 columns. To move columns, you have 2 ways of doing that. The first one, you can call it the traditional way, is to go up here to where the options are. And instead of just clicking on it, you click hold on it. And you can see that the icon inside has appeared to that north, east, south, west kind of handlebar. Now by holding down on your mouse, you can now drag that column. And you can see it becomes a blue dot. And as I move it over, it's not that clear now, you will see a thick blue line appears wherever I can drop it. So I can add it between these two. I'm going to let drop. And the gray one moves between these two. Let's do it again. Go to the top, click, hold, and drag. And I'll drop it between these two. Let's move the purple one to at the beginning. Click, hold, drag. And then you see that blue line becomes thick. Not easy to see with these because I messed with the colors. Let's drop it there. An easier way is to go up to the settings. Let's say we want this purple again at the bottom. Click on it to open the toolbar, and then you have this arrow that moves to the right and to the left. Left is grayed out because there's no space on the left. And I can simply go ahead and click and move it wherever I want it to be. Let's move this one back to the beginning. A very simple way to move and rearrange the order of the columns. Let's talk about the difference between duplicate a column versus that of adding a new column. Let's go to this rose pink here or peach, whatever. Click here at the top to bring in the toolbar. And earlier we used this one to add new columns. If I click on add new column, it's going to give me a complete empty column. Let's go back and this time choose duplicate, and you will see it gives me a second column with all the settings and content applied from the column it has been duplicated. So it's been copied, it's a clone. This one is an empty one, this one is a clone. Delete. Let's delete it from the toolbar. And let's delete these by right-clicking and delete. The reason I want to delete them is I want to bring in columns again to show you columns within columns. Click again on the plus to open the elements toolbar, drag with drawer, scroll down, click and hold column and drag it and drop it. And now you will see we have a plus inside of each column. If you click on it, the toolbar is already open. Let's click outside to close it. To click on it, it will open the drawer again. And the reason for that is that now you can bring in elements like text, buttons, images, and forms to begin building out the content. That we'll do in the next video. I want to show you that you can build out a more complex structure within Brizy Cloud by putting columns within columns. Scroll down to the bottom, click hold on the column, and now drop it within the left side column. By doing so, you will now see we have two columns, and this time with a pink border wrapped inside the one with the blue. So columns within columns. And this way you can build out more complex structure. I really recommend you just play around with this for a while, because I'm going to show you now how versatile columns actually are when I start dragging them around. For example, you will say these are the two main columns, but look what happens if I grab this column here at the top, click, hold, and drag. Everywhere there's a thick line that appears means I can drop this column. And it also shows thick pink line. If I drop it, look at that. That column that was a blue one, I've just dragged it inside another blue one, and it dropped it next to these, and it made it a pink one. But it can get even weirder. Let's grab this pink one, and I'll drag it, and I can drag it below the other pink ones. Now I have a main blue one, two pink ones, and a pink one under this. Let's drag this one outside until I see the thick blue line. Where is that? There. I can grab this one, put it there, and I can grab this one. And very easily we now have 4 parent blue containers for our columns. And that really is how versatile columns are to help you create a structure. And you'll see as we build out blocks, sometimes you can have very interesting ways of doing it. Very simple way that, for example, drag it inside. Now it's a column within a column. I can put this one next to it where I see the pink line become thick, and I have 2 of them. If I go to this column here and I click add one, it will add next to it. But let's say I want it at the bottom. I drag it there. And then I want 2 more here. So let's say I go plus another one. I'll drag, grab it, and I'll drag it again to the bottom. And now I can go and say add 1 more and 1 more. Look at that complex structure I just built out. Very easily, no mess, no fuss. But again, just to get comfortable with it, you should go and just do what I did and just play around with it. Finally, we're done now a little bit with blocks and columns. There's still a lot more to learn from this. There's a lot of settings behind the scenes, but let's get into elements so you can understand how content works in Brizy and how you can bring it into your containers so that you can start building out your web pages.